Well, Sauti za Wananchi as a conceptual approach by Twaweza East Africa has really helped us as journalists, myself as an example, in the agenda setting in a number of ways. As a journalist, I hinge my work on the cores of society as a basis for my executions. So when I look into the healthcare, education, access to information, name it, I'm interested in what helps the public or society for the better. So Sauti za Wananchi as a concept from the Twaweza East Africa came with that unique approach of helping the people know what they are entitled, what they ought to know, what their involvement into the social, the improvement of social services and the social well-being, their social well-being. In that way, it helped acquaint the public with knowledge on these aspects of life. That way, when I go to report about news from societies and communities across the board, it's easier for me to bring the narrative of the lay person in the agenda as the agenda for discourse. And that way, people under the Sauti za Wananchi concept blend in my news item to give a product or news that reflects society, but the agenda set from the citizen perspective, as Sauti za Wananchi states. Sauti za Wananchi has complemented the way I do my stories in a way that it's hard for me now to run a story without attaching the human impact and their perspective in the key stories, their key stories. They could be political, they could be on the health, access to health, access to information, the social aspects of life, and the society impact of the government programs and name them. I found it very interesting that beyond asking people what they heard from the budget, the budget presentation, I went as far as asking how impactful they felt this budget was to their lives. And the submissions therein were a very unique story of its own. And across our media platforms, we could see the reactions. We could see, because we called on their participation into the budget thing, but not as a mere commentary, not from a mere commentary aspect to the impact aspect, which is a key aspect of the Sauti za Wananchi concept. And I feel like it has really worked so well, in my view, as a practitioner and a person who has been parted with in covering stories across the country. Yes, the Sauti za Wananchi has impressed, of course, me in writing stories from the citizen perspective, but it has the different or unique touch it brought into this field. What is that? We used to anchor the citizen's perspective of news as a reaction. Now we have that option. We can start a story from the citizen perspective. If someone says, there's something called the proactive participatory action research that Twaweza pursues, you find that now people can ask a question about the quality of a service. People can question whether a deliverable of a budget aspect was fulfilled. Take, for instance, if a borehole had to be constructed somewhere and it wasn't, a citizen now comes out and asks, why aren't we having this borehole for 5 years, yet it was part of the budget allocation for a certain year? Now, as a journalist, I can start my story from that very aspect. Citizens question the allocation of a given sum of money to a given cause. it has changed the narrative that you had to bring in citizens to react after maybe a politician or a stakeholder or a powers that be had to talk about that very aspect. Now you can begin a story from the citizen perspective. It's unique, and we need to appreciate that. It's a proactive approach, but a more accountability and an accountability aspect. And I think it's the best thing that I've harnessed from it. Citizens can now take the lead of any cause.